Are we recording?
Yes. So nice to see you again. Oh, before we start, meditate for one moment. Namaste. Yeah.
And karate chops.
Yeah. You know, I've been thinking a little bit more about something. I was thinking about our initial introduction from Inspector Vector. How do you know him?
The inspector and I go way back, but again, since I do not follow a linear passage of time, we've never actually met,
Oh, interesting.
but we will.
Interesting, yes.
Or depending on perspective, we have, or in fact, he and I are meeting right now.
Oh, that could be. But because I'm so evolved, I would expect that I would see Hector as well.
Yes,
I would think, because I feel I can be all places. And I need you to explain again. We were talking about dimensions.
yes.
And one concept that I want to embrace, I don't remember all of it, was the 11 dimensions. I
That's
remember
right.
because here's why I remember, because Clarion, I need my trumpet. I need my trumpet. Thank you. Here's my little introduction. We were talking about the fifth dimension, remember? Up, up, and away.
Of course, of course.
And then you described something to me that I wish you could go into detail a little more about the 11th dimension, and that I am so well fit for the 11th dimension.
That there is actually some, shall we say, tantalizing theoretical evidence that there may be 10 or 11 dimensions of space and time, but that a number of those may be rolled up so tightly that you no more notice them than you notice the inside of a thread of hair from your head.
Oh my. Oh, you're just, wow.
And so what could in fact happen with your dicey skills is you might in fact be able to unroll some of those dimensions,
Yes.
rather like what happens when you open up one of those packages of pre-made biscuits.
Yes, but they
and
expand.
and they expand.
And
And
that's what
so
this is.
and this works in almost exactly the same fashion. And in fact, what science tells us, in fact, if to unroll those dimensions, you want to bake them at 350 degrees for 25 minutes and then let cool
Uh-huh.
thereafter. And that will in fact allow them to expand. The challenge, of course, is getting the right oven. But with the cosmic skills that define your diciness,
Mm-hmm.
uh, being able to make that happen, in fact, would not be a tremendous difficulty.
Well, what I'm thinking is that, like when Paprika and I perform, there's a kind of heat or energy produced.
Precisely, precisely.
So that's
And
what I'm
so
thinking.
it's so it may be that in that critical space between you and Paprika, and it matters what your separation is on stage, and
Oh,
because that will affect what the temperature is of that heated air that exists between you. If you're at opposite ends of the stage, the temperature will frankly simply not be adequate. But from what I've seen in your performances, if there's enough proximity, then
yes.
the temperature becomes high enough, and you can sense it in the audience that they begin to become heated in a fashion that would not happen otherwise. And
Uh-huh.
what's actually happening, it's not simply that they're appreciating your individual and combined talents, but they're literally beginning to commune with dimensions of space that no other performer can allow them to experience.
I've known it. I've known it for a long time. But
Yes, yes.
you're a professional like yourself. But you are a professional, right?
That's what I've been told.
Yes, and so you can put it into words in a way that, I mean, I'm a master with words, but let me tell you, it helps to hear how you're putting it together and to hear the little vindication that Paprika and I are exactly what I've thought the whole time.
Yes. Now there is some indication, in fact, that because of your abilities when you are together to cause this um, visualization or exposure of dimensions that are otherwise hidden,
Mhm.
uh, it's I do have a theory that, in fact, that each of you has extent in certain of these other dimensions, some that you have, some that Paprika has, but only when you two are in combination does
Oh,
the full ability to transcend all of the dimensions comes into play.
oh, well, I can understand that, but I, Paprika doesn't, what would I say? She doesn't explore this side of her life.
No, no, no. Uh, but it's rather like what happens with you have a chemical reaction that requires a catalyst, and the catalyst by itself may not be affected by the reaction, but it's essential to that. And I think Paprika works in exactly that fashion.
She's the
That
catalyst.
she is the catalyst. You are the chemical reactive material.
That's so, I would like to put that in one of our descriptions when we're promoting a show. I am the chemical reaction. She is the catalyst. This, you know,
She is the catalyst. Exactly. Exactly.
beautiful, beautifully put. You know, I don't know your entire background, and I know your time is very fluid, which I admire. You know, being able to do that. Are you taking any? Um,
Medication.
no, 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 no. I know that you are very in touch with herbs and other sorts of vitamins and so forth, but no, it's clear to me your mind is somewhere that I haven't gone before, and I appreciate your time.
If you can tell me where my mind is, actually, that would be tremendously helpful because I've been looking for it for some time, and its whereabouts are the best I can say that ill-defined at best.
Well, I think that it's just lovely to talk to someone who shares some of my interests. You know, I thought that much of my interest was in subatomic particles, but now I'm realizing it's sort of expanding, 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 you know, dimension after dimension.
Because what's happening is you have the ability, because of your intrinsic diciness,
Yes.
to unify both the microscopic and the macroscopic. Things that happen on this scale within the interior of the atom, and at the same time happening on the scale that extends out to the edge of the universe. And to be able to relate those two is a skill that, the only term for it that exists in physics is dicitude.
Uh, uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So it's your intrinsic dicitude that actually allows you to do that. And the fact that you are willing to share that with the catalytic abilities of Paprika, with uh, the ordinary rank and file, is something for which you should be complimented. You may, whether anyone actually is complimenting you is another matter, but you should be complimented for that.
Well, what I'm thinking is that I'm not the one who can really bring it to the forefront, but this is sort of like a scientific discovery.
It is. It is.
I mean, I'm thinking that if someone were to really um, write about it, or, you know, really talk about it a lot, that this could be like a Nobel Prize or something.
And of course, since I do not exist in time in a linear fashion, it's entirely possible that, in fact, the Nobel Prize has already been won.
I wonder. I
The
wonder.
only question is in which century that will happen
Oh, but
and
okay.
on what planet.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's just mind blowing. I tell you, you know, when I first moved out to California from Toledo, I would meet people that would open my mind like you all the time. And I gotta admit, until I've been sequestered a little while here and really reached out to some people, and Hector, you know, has really helped. That it's kind of like the more I draw in, the wider everything becomes. I don't know, why that is. It's just who I am. And then with Clarion here, he can do the the little stuff, that I can't
Yes.
be bothered with, because really what it comes down to is between my talents, musical and dancing and and performing and comedy and helping others, and besides those talents, I have a mind that is just, it's bursting at the seams.
It
And
is. It
I
is.
think you know what that's like.
It is. It is. And occasionally I've actually had to have those seams repaired as a result of that. But and there is some chance that in fact, as we speak, that those seams may in fact rupture once again. And
Oh,
should that happen, I would advise you to avert your gaze,
I would.
and definitely consult your local civic authorities as to how to proceed in the event that that happens.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, what a jokester you are. What a jokester. So, are there any other things you want to leave me with until we may see each other in another dicey sphere or dimension or?
It's entirely possible. Um, the one thing to remember, and I would remind you, keep track of this at all times,
Okay.
is that, and this actually is a statement from physics. So this is not something that I'm creating out of whole cloth,
Mm.
but you should keep it in mind, which is that the polehode of the equivalent ellipsoid rolls without slipping on the hyperhode of the invariable plane. And I will say no more than that, but contemplate those words. Try to come to a sense of what their innermost meaning means. And once you've achieved that, then you will find yourself on a plane of existence on which you have yet to have the experience of existing.
Thank you.
Namaste.